You welcome back to a finally get the chance to say this. Welcome back to another episode of the session. Today we talking bosses, y'all. So I'm gonna get right into it, man, because I really don't want y'all to, think I'm playing. Oh man, excuse my shirt. It's rainy today, got a little muddy. But today, man, we're gonna talk about Dame Dash. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna really dive into why his appearance on the Breakfast Club was so insulting to entrepreneurs, man, to inspiring people who want to be in business, and just everybody, how it should upset you. But let's dive right into it, man. I got a clip. So let's be clear, right? Dame Dash's idea was to go on the Breakfast Club, and this is for anybody who just doesn't know, right? I'm gonna give you a brief recap. So Tuesday, Dame Dash visited the Breakfast Club. Now, if you don't know, he's had a lot of financial issues, health issues, just different things going on in the news. And yeah, the Breakfast Club has to report on this. Now, Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy, Just Hilarious, Lauren, they do make it kind of funny. Like they do, kind of break it out in humor. But it's not meant to really like piss nobody off. Like in my opinion, I feel like Dame Dash was trying to be more like how Baby was or from Cash Money when he visited the Breakfast Club and he felt like he had to check somebody. But you don't have the same cachet because you're being known as a businessman. Like, don't get me wrong, I know his persona has led us to be like, oh yeah, he was a drug dealer. But I don't know too many drug dealers, especially in their 50s, 60s, who go around and still admitting that they were drug dealers. So now, with that being said, he visits the Breakfast Club and he spews all kinds of nonsense. Just pure lies, like unbelievable lies. Now, look, man, the reason for me even doing this is because I felt like this needs to be addressed. And it needs to be addressed, straight up and up forward by fans and people who have grown up with Dame. So now if you in your 20s, I don't really know if you know the full Dame Dash, you know what I'm saying? Because their reign was in the early 2000s, like from 99 up to the 2000s. Like that was the Rockefeller building years. And like even now, like I know a lot of people only know him for Rockaware or just other things that they may have heard or seen. But because the company has been, out of the market for so long, people don't really even remember all the things that Dame, Jay-Z, and them had their hands in back in the day. But me and some friends talked about it, and I'm going to bring it to your attention. So now first, let me get into this Roland Martin clip. Shout out to him for his journalistic integrity and calling out Vibe magazine, because that was one part of this interview that I really was disgusted by. He kept bringing up that there was an announcement to be made, and that Paramount didn't want to make the announcement. They didn't want to, they didn't want parts of it, and it's a good reason for that. Now let's watch the clip, and then I'll explain, what I mean by this when I say this was just nonsense. Okay, so where are we at? Hold on one second. Oh wait. I gotta refresh. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. There we go. Sorry, I had a little mishap with my screen earlier. I was trying to figure some things out. Things and stuff and things. I was figuring it out. But anywho, let's get back to this clip.
This was yesterday on the Breakfast Club when Dame Dash was on the air, and he said this.
So every time I was launching something with my family office, he sent a letter saying that, I'd owe the money, but it was my family office, but it muddies the waters. So if you have a contract, especially you working here, and somebody sent a bum letter, and as soon as it's a lawyer, it shuts down. Mm-hmm. It muddies the waters. And I was about to make some major announcements. You want to hear one?
Sure.
I'm now the chairman of Revolt right now, and I also I have 15.
You don't deserve to be the chairman of Revolt.
I got you. So I'm now the chairman of Revolt with a pathway.
again,
You see, because he wants to trigger me, and I want you to acknowledge that. So I'm now Cam's boss, the chairman of Revolt with a pathway to acquisition. I've been trying to buy
Now,
Revolt.
how do we know this is not cap? We ain't see this on deadline.
Can you stop yelling? Can you stop interrupting me, please?
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current industry-leading AI app builder, and you wouldn't believe the kind of apps.
There we go.
So Deadline didn't make the announcement for this particular.
All right, now let me stop right there and let me give a breakdown of what he just did. And I want to shout out that he mentioned it muddies the waters. I want y'all to remember that because there's a second clip by a very talented young lady who I follow on Instagram. I am not a lawyer. Oh, I'm sorry. She's on Instagram, but I also follow her on YouTube. I am not a lawyer. And she explains in such good detail, like the court cases is what he goes to, which is funny that he used the term muddy water. But this man is trying to spin it. He's trying to spin it. He lied through his teeth right there. And what I hate is, and a friend of mine brought this up, the man pulled a Donald Trump. You heard him say, I am now the chairman of Revolt. And that's where you lost me, because it was the lies that you threw out there that just didn't make sense. So now let's be clear. If you were the chairman of Revolt, right? Revolt has a chairman. Revolt has CEO. I'm not sure if they're the same person, but either way, they have an organization with multiple people tied to it that would have made this announcement, or I'm sure there would have been some type of agreement put out, because that's press. It's major press, you know. You're taking over as chairman, especially when everybody knows what you're going through. So that was egregious to come out and just say it, right? But let's look at what, you know, the great Roland Martin has really broken down for us, because it just doesn't make sense why you would do this.
The situation they didn't want to. I had an announcement I was going to make with BT, but Paramount stepped in and they said do it later, and they didn't want to be a part of this mess. But it will be in something. This gets played tomorrow, so the announcement will be in the trades tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to buy Revolt, and I also just did a 25 episode deal for my podcast for Bosses Take Losses, mm-hmm. and I'm putting all my content on Revolt.
Dope.
Yes, so that I can see how to monetize. I have to put together a certain kind of a plan for acquisition. So in the next 30 days, I'm going to just be a real chairman and play all these movies. And then I'm going to, hopefully I'll stay the chairman, but I got to go make movies.
Y'all see how that don't even make sense? Y'all hear? That doesn't even make sense. Who starts off a sentence as, I'm now the chairman with a path to acquisition, and ends it with, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make sense. So yeah, that right there it was like the indicator, and I hate that.
Somebody would say, how would you buy Revolt?
Why wouldn't you say congratulations?
We did say congratulations.
Oh, you don't seem excited.
Dope, congratulations.
You have to understand something.
I'm waiting for it to come out of deadline.
Let me finish.
I'll really be like, yo, did I repost it?
Right.
But somebody would say, well,
now you're going to be Mr. Research, but you asking me why 50 Cent, but you guys got fooled.
But if you're here
wait, let me finish. Real quick. I'm announcing.
Okay, so here's the issue that I have here.
Okay, so let me see if I can get to the part where he explains. I don't really want to go through all that. But dude, this man is a liar. Is a full-blown liar. And what I hate is that this man is
owned
getting
or
away
black
with this.
targeted media.
Don't get me wrong.
Doing awful journalism.
I
have a problem with that as an individual.
You know, him trying to get out here
as
and
a
just
journalist,
trying to save himself.
But you
didn't even have anything to announce That
as
was incredible.
NABJ, National Association
You
of Black
had
Journalists.
nothing of substance to tell us besides all, I'm Cam's boss. So you pulled strings to get up there just to talk crazy. Just to talk crazy. And we all know, that's all Dame is good for. Talking
Who has
crazy.
the story up?
All right. Let me see if I'm here.
Even though Datavio Samuels, who is the Revolt CEO, literally says, nah, he ain't got nothing to do with this. He ain't the chairman. He said that. Now y'all, again, I don't give a damn what Dame Dash is doing. I don't care. Okay, I don't care. Revolt, they got their business as well. But here's my problem. My problem is, how do you call yourself a media entity when you can't even pick the phone up to confirm a story?
Thank you.
See, I got a problem with black-owned or black-targeted media doing awful journalism.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with that as an individual, as a journalist, but also as NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, Vice President Digital.
This is Window Nation. Over 3 million Windows installed, and your choice for replacement Windows.
That's the
My
catch
window-
right there. Like, get back on the screen. That's the catch right there. Your man sent up a story. Like, I'm sure he just pulled some strings, right? And when I say he pulled some strings, he probably had some friends at Vibe. He had some people that was willing to, put their everything on the line, which is crazy because I don't understand why you would want to do that. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, that's just blasphemy. As an entity, as a business, I think your mindset should always be on keeping your integrity. And they didn't have any. They had no integrity about this whole thing. So he goes in there and lies. And then he also, defames another person, Chris Brown, not the singer. And they made sure they cleared that up. It was a lawyer. So now there's another video. And like I said, it's by an amazing creator. I'm not a lawyer, but right. So I want to watch this clip. I want to watch this, and then I'm gonna give my feelings afterwards because this is a lot of information that I did not know, and I'm not sure if everybody knows this because we're not reading the court files. But it breaks down completely everything that makes sense of what he's going through, even what he's going through with Cameron. And I'm gonna touch on that in a minute too because I feel like that's an important detail that we are all missing out on is the fact that with him and Cameron and Mace, their relationship is way deeper than what we remember. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are Harlem, but we forget. Dame is the one who brought Cameron in Rockefeller. He made him the president. That was the turning point for Rockefeller where they decided it was over. When they started to beef and go back and forth about the Cam situation, we don't talk about that a lot, you know what I mean? But that was the end, you know what I mean? So let's get into the clip, you know what I mean? And again, like I said, man, it's disheartening, but it is what it is.
Breakfast Club interview where he mentioned a man named Chris Brown.
So I filed because that guy Chris Brown has been suing me. And I was going to make a bunch of very major family.
People listen, he's not talking about the artist and the singer Chris Brown.
Right.
Because people will think that. But
And I didn't mind you interrupting me to do
I
that.
apologize, but I wanted to clear things up.
I appreciate that.
Well, like DJ Envy said, the Chris Brown he's talking about is not the singer. He's actually talking about a lawyer. And even though I'm not one, I read through the legal history between Dame Dash and this attorney named Chris Brown. And child, it's a bit of a story time. So settle in and let me give you the recap on why it seems Dame Dash does not like attorney Chris Brown. So it all starts with a 2018 movie called Dear Frank. Dear Frank was originally called The List, and at that point, Damon Dash was in talks to be a part of the movie. The producers of the movie, which is a company called Muddy Waters, was hoping Dame Dash would be involved in the project so that...
Remember I said Muddy Waters. Remember I said how it was weird that he would even bring that up and even say that, considering he has a deal with Muddy Waters against him. So now I feel like he was trying to be funny. He was trying to be slick, and that's really where a lot of this is irritating as hell for me, because I hate that about, like, especially us in our community, right? It's already hard enough that we got to be twice as good, twice as smart, and the fact that we have to be punctual about everything. Like, we have to literally be great at everything to excel. The fact that Dame has always came across like he was that, and you're not at all, but yet you want to throw jabs, you want to say slick comments, and you're giving people who don't deserve it a bad name. Now let's get back into it.
That they could use his name to help promote it, and in return, they would give him a director's credit. Long story short, Dame and Muddy Waters were never able to come to an agreement on the terms, and so the deal kind of falls apart, aka the two never enter into a contract for this movie. However, the two sides did agree that the movie would be filmed at Damon Dash's house. Now, to be fair, it was a house that Damon Dash was renting, and the landlord of the house approved the movie to be filmed there. But regardless, it was Dame Dash's house because he was living there. So the movie gets filmed, and it ends up being directed by a man named Josh Weber, and it's fully financed by the production company Muddy Waters. And as to be expected, Dame Dash had no real contributions to this project because, again, the two sides could never come to an agreement on their terms. Muddy Waters even releases a statement in September of 2018 saying that due to creative differences, Damon Dash has been released as director, but the movie will continue to be completed and the name will be changed from The List to Dear Frank.
So, Ridge is already really good at the wallet and all the everyday carry stuff, but I was surprised with how much they were able to do with their first foray into.
Now, the problem, according to Muddy Waters, is that even though Dame Dash was not a part of Dear Frank, nor did he have any ownership in the movie, Dame Dash apparently started shopping the film around to different TV networks trying to sell it as his own. He also began posting online that Muddy Waters and Josh Weber were culture vultures trying to steal from him. And
so let's unpack this. Let's unpack. So you, Mr. Dame Dash, you decided that you were going to steal these people's intellectual property. You were going to take their hard work that you had no hand in. You didn't even own the property in which they shot it. You were just renting it from somewhere else. So basically, you both were in the same boat. They was renting it, you was renting it. And they wanted to pull you in for publicity reasons. And you really didn't have to do nothing. You didn't have to do anything. You just had to be yourself. And you couldn't even be yourself or do business well enough to be just a co-director of a movie you didn't have to do anything for. I find that egregious. I find that very stupid. But that's just me. So now you'd also decide to steal it and shop it as if you own this property. Like, that's the delusion that we have to address, because we always address all this stuff going on now with female delusion or middle-aged delusion, teenager delusion. Sometimes we got to talk about when a boss, air quotes, is delusional, because that's delusional. I run a business. I could never steal the pictures or the work of any of the people I work with. I wouldn't steal their stuff and promote it as my own and try to sell it to the community. That's just crazy. But this is what Dame, how it was his plan. It was his plan from the get-go, and it failed. So let's see how it failed.
And so, as a result of all this, Muddy Waters and Josh Weber sued Damon Dash for defamation, And the attorney that they hire to represent them is none other than attorney Chris Brown. So the defamation case ends up going to trial, and the jury sides with Josh Weber and Muddy Waters. And they order him and his company to pay $705,400 plus another $117,884.71 for attorney's fees plus post-judgment interest. And so even though that's the verdict, Dame Dash and his company don't pay it. And so Chris Brown files a motion on behalf of his clients making a request to the judge. You ready for it? Chris Brown asked the judge to make Dame Dash sell his 1/3 ownership of Rockefeller Records, handed over in the form of a stock certificate, so that the U.S. Marshal could then sell Dame's 1/3 ownership of Rockefeller Records at a public auction. And then the proceeds from that auction be used to pay the money that is owed to Muddy Waters, Josh Weber, and Chris Brown in the form of attorney fees.
All right, so let's be fair. That is the reason why he has to sell his shares of Rockefeller, which I didn't know that. I had no clue that that was what forced it, because he never was transparent. It was always money, frivolous lawsuits, blah, blah, blah. And no, it wasn't. It was actually because of this particular lawsuit, which, hey, I don't blame them. Get y'all money.
Side note, Jay-Z and a man named Kareem Burke were the other owners of Rockefeller Records, and they objected to this request, saying that according to their Rockefeller Records bylaws, owners aren't allowed to sell their stake in the company unless it's approved by their board of directors. The judge said, nice try. In New York, you're not even allowed to require a stockholder to get approval from the board before selling their stock. It's actually illegal and against public policy.
So you bums didn't even have y'all affairs in order to know that y'all were doing something illegal. Okay, let me be clear. I'm not certain if they did this at the beginning of the creation of Rockefeller, or maybe they just decided when he was ordered to sell his stock that we gonna make this document. Either way, you couldn't have looked up the laws in New York to see if what you were trying to pull across on this judge was illegal, or even able to do it. Y'all just put it out there, and they was like, all right, they gonna hear this, they gonna respect us because we said we don't allow it, and the white people do it, so we gonna do it. I know that's probably what he was thinking, because that was dumb. At least Google it to see if you can do it. Like, every state is different. And we all know New York has some of the wildest laws, but they also put in place for situations like this, because there's a lot of business being done, a lot of things just being done in New York that just aren't done everywhere else. And I'm sure maybe Chicago, maybe LA, maybe these places have that same situation. I don't know, but I do know they have some of the strictest laws, and probably because other people did similar things.
So the judge rules that the stock can be sold. But y'all, that's not even it. The City of New York Department of Social Services somehow hears that Damon Dash might be selling his stake in Rockefeller Records. So they submit a letter to the judge saying, hey, he owes us some money too. $145,000 in back child support, to be specific. And we get first dibs because we're the state. But then Rachel Roy's attorney hears that he's about to sell off this stock, and so they step in and tell the judge, hey, we deserve some of that money too to pay for the kids' tuition and other expenses that Rachel has had to pay. But then New York steps in again and says, actually, Dame Dash owes back taxes, and we getting our cut. And then some other people who were suing Dame, they also filed motions saying they want their cut. You get the point. So anyway, this auction actually happens on November 14, 2024. And while the lead up is happening and motions are being filed, Chris Brown picks up additional clients who want to sue Dame Dash. In February of 2019, so a couple years before the auction, Chris Brown sued Dame Dash on behalf of a woman named Edwina Brooks. And Brooks accused Dame Dash of trademark and copyright infringement relating to a book that she made called Mafietta. Edwina Brooks says that she initially brought Dame Dash on to help her turn the book into a movie, but because of his behavior and other issues that they had, she ended up firing him in 2016. However, according to Edwina, in 2017, Dame Dash began promoting this Maffietta movie on his Instagram page. He then also placed it on iTunes, and he placed it on his own subscription service. So Edwina's lawsuit continues, and eventually she wins her case. Edwina was awarded.
Okay, so that is one movie case that he lost. You have another case against you from the city of New York. Then you have another case here with Maffietta. So that's three. I'm just trying to keep count. Okay.
$300,000 because of this trademark and copyright infringement. This another side note, but I feel like it's worth mentioning that apparently during the trial, Dame Dash said that the plaintiff's attorney, meaning Chris Brown, breath smelled like doo-doo. I wish I was exaggerating, but like literally, that's what it says in these court documents. Doo-doo.
Who does that, bro? As a mature man in 2020, this is January 2020. He says that in court. Bro, you've already lost multiple cases to this man. And this is how you feel you need to. That's wild. Look.
So after
to pretty much take it all, fridges and
that's
dishwasher.
wild. Like, I'm sorry, but Dame is a clown. Dame is a full-fledged clown. I really hate it because, like I said, he really was a part of our generation, like, and coming up from probably 98 for me, because I know, Reasonable Doubt and all that was a little bit before that. But up until they broke up in 2004, I had respect. Like, I never thought nothing else of Dame. Like, I didn't think Dame was a loser. And now I just really feel like he's a loser. Like, the idea that certain hood tactics and certain things that you can say and do work all the time, I hope that people understand that this is an example of why it doesn't. And yeah, you can be like, well, it's maybe other people out there that are similar to him that are successful, but are they? Because this is a prime example of the system will do what they want to do to help you stay relevant. Vibe magazine had no reason to go out on a limb to publish that. Their editor had no reason, other than maybe just uneducated or not fully vested in what they were doing. So they figured, fuck it, we'll just throw it out there and nobody will care. Yeah, he had no reason to go on the Breakfast Club and just spew nonsense. Now, don't get me wrong. I commend the Breakfast Club because even when he tried to attack DJ Envy, talking about his court cases and whatnot, DJ Envy was prepared. He knew that this was coming. He had paperwork to show this ain't on me. This is on him. I was a victim as well. But media, some outlets go with what they want to go with. Some influencers go with what they're going to go with. So yeah, it's easy. People believe the lie before the truth because the lie is more entertaining. Charlamagne has said that many times, and it's very true. Now, what bothers me though with Dame is you're not in that lane, right? You're making movies. You're the movie guy, supposedly, of Rockefeller, or you were. That's what I believe. But again, I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But let's just let her finish. Let her finish. It's almost over.
Dame Dash on behalf of a woman named Monique Bunn, and she, like the others, won her lawsuit.
Thank you.
So now, while that may seem like enough of a reason for Dame Dash to not really care for Chris Brown, that's not it.
5, 4?
Chris Brown himself also sued Dame Dash for defamation.
That's 5.
In 2021, Chris Brown filed a lawsuit against Dame Dash, saying that Dash began defaming him when Brown filed the first lawsuit on behalf of Muddy Waters and Josh Weber. In the lawsuit, Chris Brown stated that Dame Dash called him a con man and also posted some defamatory things on the Dusko Poppington Instagram account. In the documents, Chris Brown also referenced a Breakfast Club interview that Dame Dash did back in 2020.
The question is, why does Chris Brown himself have so many different lawsuits against me in 1 year, and all of them are frivolous?
And he's not talking about Chris Brown, the artist. I know
Chris Brown, the lawyer.
Like, no, Chris
if you
Brown
ever
is
see somebody with a bad suit, he look like Mr. Bookman.
And so as a result of the many remarks that Chris Brown says Dame made about him, Brown says that he's had to explain to his clients such as Fred Hammond, Tion T-Boz Watkins, and others the allegations Dame has made against him. Another side note, apparently a couple months before defamation trial, Damon Dash's attorney filed a motion to withdraw from being Dame's attorney.
Crazy.
Because according to him, there was a complete breakdown of communication, respect, and professionalism between him and Dame. He went on to say that the relationship is irreconcilable and he wanted out. But the judge denied the request. He made him keep being Dame Dash's attorney.
Crazy.
So the Chris Brown Dame Dash defamation trial proceeded on. It was a one-day trial, and the jury of that trial ultimately found that Dame Dash and Poppington LLC did defame Chris Brown. They awarded Chris Brown $100,000 because of this defamation. And so that's it from what I could find. That is a brief recap of the history between Dame Dash and this man named Chris Brown, who is not the singer.
Okay, so we got that out the way. Now, let me collect myself so I can give y'all this rundown on how I feel. So now I know that because Chris Brown, the courts forced Dame Dash to sell his shares of Rockefeller, right? And we just heard from Cameron and Mace, not even a couple days ago, that, you know, they wanted to help. They wanted to put together $1 million to help either him buy that shares or, you know, I guess take care of that case. And I feel like that was his problem. That was the reason why he pushed them away. Like, because Cameron said that he took 3 weeks to come back to him, to, you know, because he had all these other deals in the air and those fell through. And I'm going to tell y'all why they fell through. They fell through because he's a con artist. Like, because he's sitting here lying to people about everything that he got going on, right? Now, I couldn't even calculate all that money that he owes. You got 5 court cases. Don't forget child support and back taxes that you owe. And don't forget you got your baby mom. His baby mom's is in there too, trying to get money, which I don't blame her. I would definitely be trying to get money. You know what I mean? Like, everybody else getting it. Why shouldn't I? Especially if he owes it. But Cameron and them, you disrespected them. You spit in his face because you was mad he gave your son some money, or he offered your son some money. 2001, you signed Cameron to become the president of Rockefeller. Cameron and Jay-Z didn't see eye to eye at all. And one thing that I remember was, and this is why I believe Cameron and Mace even stepped up to even offer him the money. And I think that was the relationship that they built. They built that relationship on, you know, hey, you look out for me with helping me with movies. Because remember, Cameron, he was acting in those times. Like Killer Season, I want to say dropped 2006, and this was 2 years after Rockefeller broke apart. So I feel like that was part of the deal. I feel like the deal was, you sign to Rockefeller, we'll give you, I'll fund your movie, right? I'll make you the president, and we'll fund the album. We'll fund your first album on Rockefeller. And I think that was the deal, because I don't think he had the money to sign Cam, because I know a lot of people ain't even born back in 2001, 2004. But let's be fair. The people who were, do y'all remember this? Cameron and them, like, when he signed to Rockefeller, he wasn't talking about he had a whole lot of money from them. He was talking about the money he was making independently. You know what I'm saying? And even after, he left them and signed to Koch Records because he didn't want to sign to Def Jam. Jewel signed to Def Jam because they even almost fell out over that, because he was like, yo, you could just stay here, we'll get you right, and it'll be a done deal. I feel like Jewel's had some hot singles, and he saw that check and was like, yo, I'm good. Like, I could use this, which at the time, I don't blame him. You was hot. You had things going on. You know, it is what it is. So that was my take on how I looked at that. Now, when they signed him, like I said, they signed Cam in 2001. 3 years later, Rockefeller was done. They split. And I think that was, like I said, that was the catalyst. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because if y'all remember, Jay-Z was was he the president? Yeah, I think he became the president of Def Jam. What year was that? Right. He became the president of Def Jam in 2004. So I try to put two and two together, right? I started putting two and two together. I started having these conversations because, like he said, as a boss, you know certain things happen in sequence, right? Let's say you're a great money manager or great business mind. It'll be hard to put you out of business. Yeah, if you had partners, you could lose partners. You would just gain new partners if you needed them. But if you already had a stable platform, see, and I think that's what we forgot. We forgot that Dame had no talent. He just had name. Your sister, Stacey Dash, you were known in the city. You know, you had, I guess you had a lifestyle that seemed like you had money. But what I really believe is Jay-Z got into those books. Jay-Z started, he signed to Def Jam, or I think he probably shadowed with them the year before, and probably have, you know, other people telling him, yo, man, you got to drop Dame. Dame is no good for y'all. He's not going to help y'all excel. And I really believe that. I really believe that behind closed doors, somebody came to Jay-Z and gave him a rude awakening. The man ain't no good. He's not going to excel. He's not going to do well. And we should have saw that. We should have paid attention to that. That it's no different than like the turkey hut, the turkey leg hut. Remember, the husband and wife split up. All of a sudden, the quality go down. All of a sudden, they closed for a month. All of a sudden, they selling drugs out the restaurant. Because when you don't know how to manage something, but you know how to smile for the camera, that's the problem. You're not a boss. You're a fraud. Dame is a fraud, and this is coming from a person who has built a business from the ground up. And I promise you, I teach people how to do this. I can see the warning signs a mile away, and that's why this was so disgusting for him to be on the Breakfast Club just talking. You had no reason to go up there and talk. If anything, you should be advocating for people getting their stuff together, getting their finances together. Look at me. I'm old. Drug dealers don't have a retirement plan. So you need to have a retirement plan. He never once promoted that. And I think that's my real issue. I hate that I came up in an era that the drug dealer was put on a pedestal. He was told, oh man, you're a boss, you're going to do this forever, you're going to have money, you're going to have respect. You don't. You do not get respect all the way up until death, when all you can talk about is hustling. That's the number one lesson that I teach people when I teach a man, look, how to get into business, period. I don't give a damn what you're doing. Do not treat your business plan like a hustle, because a hustle has an end. If you write up a good business plan, right? I'm a firm believer in this. If I write up a really good business plan with all the details in which I need, I have my layout put together, I have the flow together, I have my numbers in order of what my projections would be according to what I'm supposed to do, according to the market value of the product in which I intend to sell, I can copy that, paste that, and give it to anybody. Anybody. And it would work as long as they had the will and the competency to make it work. It's not hard at all. But that's the thing that we fail to realize Dame didn't have. He never had a product that was worth it. The movies, trash. Go back and watch them. Go back and watch Paper Soldiers. Go back and watch State Property 1 and 2. Trash. Like, I don't know. Maybe he got some other low budgets that he put out, but I'm almost certain it's trash. And after finding out that he was stealing people's projects and movies and books and trying to, sell them and put them out there like they were his, this is what he's promoting. I don't believe him. I don't believe anything he has to say. Like, I have to literally go through now, check the IMDb to see what credits he has or what he's done, because this is a shameful display. Like, we have systems in order to make sure that stuff like this doesn't happen, and he just completely ignored that those systems will tell on you. Like, it's not public record. So that, man, look, I really, really hate to have to give this energy for my first podcast back. It's been a while, man. It's been like a year since I did a podcast. Well, session podcast. I'm sorry. Definitely check me out tomorrow, Sunday, Geeks Head Podcast, live at 3:00. But this has had to be talked about, bro. Like, don't get me wrong. This is not going to be what the podcast is always about. Like, I definitely feel like people need to understand that. It's definitely going to have some lighter moments. I'm having guests. I'm having a lot of different things for the session podcast. But Dame had to be talked about, yo. Like, he had to be talked about. And that's just because I feel like everybody doesn't respect that Dame is a liar. Some of us grew up on him as a hero, and we respect him, and people still look at him like that. And I ain't gonna say you shouldn't, but I also feel like we have to hold him accountable and say that he's wrong when he's wrong. And how he displayed himself on Tuesday was terrible. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be the end of boss talk for this situation on this. You know what I mean? But this is my words, man, coming from a boss. But anyway, it was a pleasure. Thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, man, y'all have a blessed day. I'm out. Peace.